Thank you for having me on.
Good to talk to you. Good to talk to you. And obviously, I'm going to jump right into this because you've got a big fight coming up, and you know, arguably they're all big, but a spot in the PFL regular season is, potentially on the line here. So, first of all, just tell me, how did this opportunity come about?
Man, just stay in the course, trusting God and being at the right place in the right gym. Kill Clip and DK Fitness are just been preparing me and helping me. And gosh, I had so many things. Right, my mom. It's funny. My mom prayed about it, and then I got the PFL offer. She was praying specifically for PFL. And my agents, they're hustling, putting their head down and grinding. Like we are trying to find every single fight we could. UFC, Bellator, whatever, PFL, just pushing. And I said, I'll fight at 205. I don't care. And my agent, Randall, Elman, and Oren, they all were like pushing for me to get a fight. And he said, I'm going to call PFL, I'm going to talk to them. And then we were waiting to hear back. And about like the end of last year, they're like, hey, Challenger Series, March 10th. Let's go. I said, let's get it. So just a whole, like a collective effort. And, staying in the gym, it's like, I think if you do stay in the gym, you just trust God, keep doing what you need to do, like your profit will come. So, like, that's it in a nutshell.
I think the part that stood out there was the, 205, I don't care. Now, I took a look back, and I think the last time you fought at 205 might have been as an amateur, if Tapology is telling me the truth, against Brian Battle. And I don't know if that's
Oh yeah. Oh shoot, we did. So I love Brian. He missed weight, so we had to do a catch weight.
there you go.
So yeah, that was actually one of the. It's so funny. I like you. Oh, wow, that's
Thank
good.
you.
So crazy thing is about that fight is that was one of the most pivotal, the most like impressionable fights of my life. That fight right there, because I was brand new and fighting. I didn't understand. Brian just kept taking me down. Mom, I didn't listen to my coaches at all. And then like near the end, I had like a burst. And he just kept winning. He won by points, and but that changed it for me. I think that fight is what helped me get to the major leagues and like to the UFC. Because ever since then, I was like, okay, never again. Just keep getting better and better and better and better and better. And I'm really grateful for that fight. So hey, I appreciate you. Thank you. You know what? That was good. That was good. That was good. I didn't
Not a
think about
problem.
that. Yeah,
I try to do my homework. I try to do my homework.
I like that.
So the question then becomes, do you think the weight difference is going to have much of an effect here? And are you doing anything in terms of trying to put on muscle, maybe, or are you just basically going in?
No, I mean, doing my due diligence for sure. Working out, they changed a couple different workouts, but nothing crazy. I'm naturally around the size of a light heavyweight. I can be like 220, 225. Then, finish practicing at 208. I'm right there. So I'm good. But I think fighting is about being the better fighter, right? And that's what's important. Yeah, there's strength, but how you move, how you read, how intelligent you are, how you listen to your coaches, the way you train. Like you put someone's knees together, you take them down, you hit them on the chin, they go down. So it's about being the better fighter, and that's important for me. So my focus is to be a better fighter, improve every day, incrementally, and make those big jumps when they're there. But at the same time, just being consistent and that steady grind to get better. And uh, not just the experience, but the opponents that I fought and the people that have been there. It's like there are better fighters out there. So I think Osama was awesome, and I'm looking forward to that fight.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head if it's about being the better fighter. And I think we've seen that in history. I think the one thing that comes to mind right now, because he's fighting this weekend, is Fedor, always the undersized heavyweight, considered potentially the greatest of all time. The one thing when I talk to Challenger Series fighters about is the potential spot in the regular season. And do you go out and try and put on a show, or do you take this as any other fight and just let that kind of happen? What's your approach to it?
I don't believe in ever putting a show on. It's like I'm not an entertainer. I'm not a musician. I'm not some well in this regard. Right? I'm not a person trying to like do something impressive. Like I'm going to fight, and that's what's been my focus. Right, dominate, beat this person up, like claim this victory, and that always ends up being entertaining itself naturally. That's a byproduct of it. Right, if I go out there just trying to be entertaining, then I lose focus of why I'm there. Like my focus is go out there, dominate this guy, take him out, finish him, move forward, and that's always exciting, right? Like when you see somebody like it's a fight, and that's what I love about it. And I think people pay to come see a fight, and then when they see that the way that I fight, I'm always going to be in your face. I'm always going to put that pressure. I'm always going to be fight you. I will take the risk. I'll go for it, and that naturally, I think, is a show itself. Right? Like my job is to fight, and that always then it'll take care of itself.
Absolutely. Now, There was a time, and this goes back to kind of your UFC run and what's come since. There was a time when it felt like there wasn't life after the UFC. There was Bellator and not a lot else. Now you've got one championship, you've got the PFL, you've got organizations in Europe that are paying pretty well. Maybe you go to
Yeah.
Japan if you can get there for Ryzen. I mean, do you kind of feel that as well? Because this opportunity feels like it could be the start of something bigger.
Yeah, I mean, right after the UFC released me, I didn't re-sign with them. Coach Jones came up to me right in the warm-ups in practice and said, "Hey, we're on a new path." Did I know what it was? No. I mean, you had Eagle, and that didn't work out. They didn't have their shows anymore, and I was like, "Okay, where am I going to go?" But God always had a plan, and now it's like you said, where you go next is probably going to be for a long time. And like, what better place than to be if you felt like I love this warrior path, and the fact that there are options for fighters and people like who want to choose. Like some people like to fight once or twice a year. That's not me. Like I want to fight like this year, I get to fight 5 times. Go get that title plus the Challenger Series. And then every year, I get to fight at least. I'll fight 4 times, right? Claim that title, claim that title. Like to me, it's so special because I think every organization tailors to each fighter certain, like in a way, right? Rising, they don't have many shows, but some people might want to fight once a year, make big contracts. Some guys want to fight in Bellator, maybe have 2 or 3 fights, maybe one fight a year. It's always different. Yeah, I think PFL is perfect for me just because uh, I don't have much weight to cut. I get a fight all the time. I know I'm on a schedule, and I'm a big explorer. I love to travel and like go on my motorcycle. So I know when the off season happens, like maybe get a couple weeks where I could just go from North Africa to South Africa on a motorcycle. I can go to all over Europe, Asia, like different things. Like maybe I wouldn't have gotten to do if I was in the UFC, right? So God had that plan for me. Spend time with my family, who I really really love. I think one championship is cool because like you can meet people in the head on the ground and different type of rule sets. 12 to 6 elbows. So everything they have different like categories and like martial arts you can fight in as well. When I think about who I am and how the fighter I am, like and fighting in general, I believe PFL is the best for me. So I'm very very excited, and I love that. Like, there's not life's not over after the UFC.
Absolutely. And you touched on a couple of things there I want to follow up on. One was the mention of Eagle FC. I was actually going to ask you about that. We've heard all kinds of rumors about whether or not they're still going to be back. Diego Sanchez came out a little while ago and said he hasn't heard anything from them. They owe him some fights. What was the status with you? Do you still have a contract with them? I know they allow you to fight elsewhere anyway, so you'd still be able to do this, but have you heard anything at all?
No, now that I'm with PFL, it's like that's my focus, and I'm grateful. Like, thank you to everybody there. That fight was a life changing one too. Fighting Raymond, um, it taught me a lot about myself and that I'm at the right gym and everything that I'm doing. Like, we're definitely on the right path. I haven't talked to them. Like, I'm not with them anymore, and I'm just moving forward. Like I'm grateful to be part of PFL and maybe I'll become champion there, and it's cool. It's cool, but I mean, I'm grateful for my time.
Absolutely. And the other thing you mentioned, the idea of fighting 4 or 5 times in a year. And when you combine that with the change in weight, does fighting at light heavyweight make that a lot easier because you're not going through the weight cuts as badly as you would be at middleweight if PFL had middleweight?
Yeah, so middleweight's not a bad weight cut at all. Like I can make that every week, like pretty simply. But welterweight, mm, that every, every 6 weeks, I'm like, I'd be cutting weight from us again, do like a weight loss journey. Um, but middleweight would have been fine. Like it'd be great to fight at PFL middleweight and light heavyweight, like become a 2 division champion. Like I think it's really cool how they used to have 2 fights in one day. And that'd be kind of cool if I could do that. I'd weigh in at middleweight and I still fight a light heavyweight and heavyweight, or in middleweight, or I go up. Uh, but it depends, right? It just depends. But like it does make it a lot better because I don't have to cut every pretty much. I'll come in the fight week a few pounds over, weigh in, rehydrate, be ready to throw down. And I think that in the long run, it's a great investment, right? So, I mean, you've seen guys like Gilbert Burns do it from 155 to 70. Anthony Rumble Johnson from 70 to 205 came champ. You've seen, like, you can go, Marvin Havey was a smaller fighter, Duran, like, just any kind of fight you could think of, like, they've done well, like, kind of moving up. Want to see how John Jones does, right? Uh, there's probably a whole list of fighters, right? Vander Holyfield wasn't that big. We came out throwing down Tyson, right? But there's a benefit to being the guy who's quote unquote smaller or whatever, but you're down to fight. So excited.
Definitely, definitely. And you mentioned the 2 fights in one night. They used to do that for the playoffs or the quarterfinal and semifinal round in the PFL. Would you like to see that come back?
I'd love to. Yeah, I mean, I'd fight more in a season if I could. Get like 6 fights or 8 fights. It'd be great. But uh, I love to fight. I fight every weekend of the year. It'd be cool too, especially if you have the opportunity to win two titles, right? How about winning two titles in one night? That'd be something special, right? And I don't know. I love to fight. So if they brought that back, that'd be cool. Especially too if I got to fight on different schedules, middleweight, light heavyweight, middleweight, light heavyweight. Just keep going. Like whatever's best. Like I would do it. Like I love to fight. So it'd be cool. I would love that.
That's a very cool idea. Now, I want to ask you about your last performance. You went
Mhm.
1-1 in 2022, and that Jared Gooden fight, another UFC veteran. How important was that for you to get back into the swing of things?
For sure. Like I believe when I fought, that fight with Raymond and Eagle, I won. Right, those split decision. You can gain so much from that. One of my coach Strauss says, "This beautiful garden," and you have so many things you like to learn. But I took one centerpiece and build around it. So when I went with the Jared Gooden fight, my coach Jeter Navarro, he does a lot of my striking and MMA and always stays on me. And Coach Nick Lenz, Greg Jones, who are usually in my corner, are always in my corner. He said like, you invest this, you do this every day, right? And to be smart, so like be fast and to show myself, right, like what's inside me. That's the kind of fighter that I am, and only getting better, right? I remember I said I'm going to make it look like Jared's not meant to be in there, and when I made that decision, it's like the choice is up to me. So that was so important. That was so important to myself. Like a lot of lessons where I realized like when I say I'm going to dominate, I'm going to dominate. When I say I'm going to claim the victory, I'm going to claim the victory. When I say I'm going to make it look like they're not meant to be in there, I'm going to do that too. And I always have respect for my opponents. Like I love Jared. Like I told him at the end of the fight, like about the gladiators, it would say these are the fights that are still talked about thousands of years later. And he has many of those fights. And he has many of those fights that we talk about thousands of years later. Uh, when we fought in July, that was my moment. And God bless me. And I see so many more, especially March 10th when I fight Osama. And then everybody that I fight, whether I fight Rob Wilkinson, Thiago Santos, like finishing guy after finishing guy after finishing guy, finishing people. And then when I claim that victory and become the world champion this year, it's gonna be sorry. We're gonna look back at this interview and just be like, man, like he said it, he spoke it, he meant it, and just like keep moving forward. So it was one of those things that taught me a lot. It taught me a lot and just made me realize like I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed, and I'm looking forward to doing it over and over again throughout the season.
Well, I love the mindset. I'm definitely looking forward to the fight and to the season. Now, let's talk a little about the fight itself. Osama Al Sidi. I mean, from what you've seen of him, how do you think he shapes up as an opponent? What do you got to watch out for?
I think he's an excellent opponent. I think he's awesome overhand, right? He's got some awesome wrestling. He'll go in, he comes forward. He's crafty. Like you don't see many guys like him throwing front and teeps, right? Like he knocked his last opponent out. I've seen him in trouble too, and he didn't quit. And I've seen him also, respond well. Focused fighter. Yeah, he's got power. Uh, he's got a heart, and he's an Egyptian guy. And I believe he also represents Jordan as well. Excuse me if I'm wrong, but he's comes from a warrior culture. So those are people I love to fight. So obviously, got to be focused, disciplined throughout the entire fight, and then do what I do best. And those are things I would say I have to watch out for. And of course, he's still growing, so just obviously be mindful and intelligent everywhere. Like he's got awesome grappling, he's got this, so it's just being smart about dominating where I'm going to dominate, and then respecting what he has. So I'm looking forward to that fight.
Is there any pressure from the external side? Because you would be the favorite going into this and arguably the favorite on the entire card. Is that something you're able to tune out, or did you feel that at all?
Yeah, no, it doesn't bother me at all. Like I've been the underdog plus 500, won a fight. I've been the favorite in one fights. Like I've been the favorite in the loss. Like, I don't put pressure from the outside. Like I always say, like God's called me to do this, and I'm gonna go claim his victory. Like it's one of those. I don't look past him. I don't overlook him. I don't see him as any less of a man. I just know that when I go in there, I'm going to dominate, and that's what I do every single fight. That's what I focus on. Stay focused and dominate. So external pressure, no, it doesn't exist for me. It's I put a lot more pressure on myself than anybody could put on me. I have I think about my family. I think about God. Like the pressure I put from the inside that comes out is a lot more than whatever could come from somebody else. And I think that's what helps me.
Now, normally this is the point where I'd ask you what the goal was for 2023, but I think that's pretty obvious here. Win this fight, get in the regular season, dominate there, go to the final. When you look at the field at light heavyweight, are there any fights there that particularly capture your interest, that guys that you would like to fight during the regular season?
Yeah, for sure. I would love to fight Rob Wilkinson. Of course, champion. Did really well. Like so much respect for him. Uh, I love the way that he fights. Man comes to fight, he fights hard, right? And he fights like a warrior. So that's a fight. I love that week 1. Week 2 or whatever the time is, like Thiago Santos fought John Jones in the finals, right? That's an awesome fight. Amari went to the semifinal. Like those guys, I really, really love the fight. The 2021 champion was
ACJ, was it Shoeface?
maybe he's the guy who won. He's on this big show, Big Brother. Like, yeah, he's a former champion. Like, I would like to fight guys like that. My teammate Emiliano Assorti, if he signs again, we end up fighting each other. It's gonna be a big honor, and he's a champion at a time too. And I love that guy. Like, he's such a good-hearted dude. I call him my bear or my dog. And if we do fight too, it's a big honor. Like, you have to, coming from a great gym, you're gonna fight guys that you train with. If he decides to fight in PFL again, and I just I like those fights, but especially Thiago Santos and Rob Wilkinson. Thiago Santos, like I hit that like the hammer. It's like, I got to make him the nail that day. So I look forward to it. I
Well, I
look
love
forward
it.
to
You're
that.
you're basically calling out the two biggest dogs in the yard. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, got to. Like I got to say like that. I run the yard. So
Good stuff, man. Well, I am looking forward to this one. Absolutely fantastic fight. Best of luck in the season. I want to thank you again for taking the time today, and best
thank
of
you for
luck
having
come
me.
March on the Challenger Series, and looking forward to the regular season.
Appreciate you. Thank you. I look forward to talking to you soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, Impa. You have a great day.
Thanks, Jim.